week in Kansas City, the Chiefs posting this on Instagram. One of our favorite moments from this rivalry, and that's Tyreek Hill there with the 78-yard punt return for a touchdown against the Raiders. So I like this. They're trolling them a little bit.
Was that Cheetah right there?
Yeah, that's him. I love it. So despite having a bye last week, KC still won, gaining ground in the AFC West thanks to the Raiders' embarrassing road loss to the Jets. Tomorrow's game carries even more weight, though, for Oakland as they try to stay in the hunt and even maybe win the division. How about we head to Kansas City and say good morning to our guy, James Palmer, who's live at Arrowhead right now. What up, JP?
What's up, guys? Now, coming out of a bye, Andy Reid better than anyone, 17-3. What did he look at heading into this game? Well, it's discipline issues and penalty issues in his mind. Now, there's not an unbelievable amount of penalties with the Chiefs, but in Andy Reid's eyes, they're happening at really bad times in drives and at really important times during the games. You go back to that game against the Chargers, he said that hurt them early on. They're really good on their first couple of drives, usually in games. Then you go to the game against Tennessee, they score a touchdown taken off the board by a penalty. They take 4 points off the board, end up losing that game by 3. Multiple players this week told me they still don't feel like they've put together a complete game yet this season. And injuries on the offensive side of the ball may be playing a part of that as well. Only 2 games this year, guys, 2 complete games have had Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Patrick Mahomes together. They're averaging more than less a touchdown per game compared to last year. Now they're healthy on the offensive line. Damian Williams, the only guy out, guys, for them in this one, but maybe that load management we talked about with Shady McCoy can come into play tomorrow against the Raiders.
Yeah, they definitely needed that bye. James, what is that tweed that you're rocking over there?
This? Yeah. Yeah, more importantly, we got the scarlet and gray. Big game today.
Oh,
Big game against
Is that black and silver
That's
for a
amazing.
reason?
Awesome. Thank
What's
you,
that?
James.
Black and silver. I see. He's repping.
I know. We
Like a
see what
sweet-
you're doing out there.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you again next hour. You
Yeah.
better bring it again. All right, here we go.
Thanksgiving Day, the Cowboys are bound to face the 8-3 Bills. On the run, fires it again, and Beasley back to Dallas with a touchdown in his old building. Oh my gosh. It is intercepted. To say it isn't so. Oh, the ball's taken right out of his hands. A monster play for Buffalo. A little trickery and a pass to boot. Wide open. Singletary with the Buffalo touchdown. Allen, open field. And he goes all the way for the touchdown.
This stadium is stunned right now.
So Thanksgiving was a day to forget for the Cowboys and their
boy.
fans. Dallas dominated at home by Buffalo, 26-15. Despite losing 3 of 4, though, they still have that lead in the NFC East by a game and a half. So let's talk some Thanksgiving takeaways here. First of all, I mean, shout out to the Bills. I know we don't have Mike Robb here. He is their biggest supporter, and he would be screaming for them right now because they really did dominate the Cowboys. But
They delivered.
how can the Cowboys get right now and get back to winning and win the division?
Yeah, you mentioned, I mean, they're still in first place, so they still have a lot to be thankful for. They still have a shot. But when you look at the way that they are losing football games, I think the Dallas Cowboys, they've got to go back to who are we, all right, offensively. I think Kellen Moore has done a great job with Dak Prescott, and he's been phenomenal this year. But as great as it is that Dak has been leading the NFL in passing yards, it also has taken away one of their strengths. And with Zeke Elliott, this is what they need to get back to. All right, he hasn't had 100 yards rushing in the last 4 games. But when you look at what they have lost offensively, they just lost their left guard, Connor Williams. He tore his ACL. He was out a couple games before, came back, and this got hurt again. Their right tackle, Lyle Collins, has been banged up. Stop trying to throw the ball 50-plus times in a game, right? That's not what you are, and it's not what you need to be. If you want to win this division, the way that you do it is by riding Zeke Elliott. Feed the man, all right? Just give it to him. And they need to let him take over games. This is spoken like an offensive lineman, I know. But that's what the Dallas Cowboys do best. And I think that until they get back to that physical nature, and until Kellen Moore says, look, all right, Dak, I'm going to take the ball out of your hands as good as you've been and give the ball to Zeke, until they do that, they're not going to be the dominant team that they could be.
That stretch of 4 games with fewer than 100 yards for Ezekiel Elliott, that stretch, he hasn't seen that since his freshman year at Ohio State. So this is not normal for him to go through either.
If I'm in the locker room, Colleen, I'm saying that the only guy that can stop Zeke Elliott is Kellen Moore.
That's true. And I think that, obviously the coaching and the play calls, that is something that's been under the microscope, but also the defense. They've allowed at least 26 points in 3 of their last 4 games, and they only did that 1 time in their first 8 games. So the defense needs to tighten up. And look, Josh Allen, he did a great job. This Bills team.
They're a good team.
Yeah. You saw even on that play that Josh Allen, he fumbled the ball and then picked it back up and dove over for the extra yards and the first down there. They scrapped this one out, and I feel like, you know what? Shout out to the Bills. But let's go over to the other room, the other living room, where GZ and D Hall are talking about the NFC South champs.
That's correct. After beating the Falcons on Thursday, New Orleans became the first team to lock up a playoff berth. The Saints have won the NFC South for the 3rd straight season, 6th time under Sean Payton, who just continues to do a great job year after year with this team. Their 10-2 record is the second back-to-back. What am I trying to say? Second consecutive year they've been 10-2. That's what I'm trying to say. And their 34 victories since 2017 are tied with the Patriots for the most in the league. I don't know why I'm reading all this stuff. It's on the screen. Clearly, you folks can read at home. And D. Hall can read. He can read offenses. He can read defenses. You
Well
like
done.
that one? Thank you very much. So we're going to go to you to talk about the takeaways that you saw from the Saints, other than the fact that they can't recover an onside kick.
Hey, look, the Saints, we know who the Saints are. The Saints are a explosive offense with a lot of great weapons on offense. For me, it's this defense. And, this offense hasn't quite been what we're used to seeing them be in previous weeks. And so, for me, though, the takeaway was this defense. It was, watching this secondary make plays, against the Falcons. Not having Julio Jones out there, I think that matchup, Marshawn Lattimore is one of those corners who he relishes in the big moment in guarding, the other team's best receiver. Not having him out there, I think Lattimore didn't come out as fired up as he probably would have, getting into it with, one of the young receivers. But it's Eli Apple. Eli Apple is a guy that, if Emrod was here, he gives Eli Apple a hard time. But I always think Eli Apple is always in position. And I know Dennis Allen, the coordinator, I know Aaron Glenn, the DB coach, they're working hard to make sure this kid makes the play on the ball. But if he can actually turn around and find the ball instead of committing these outrageous penalties, that's, to me is hurting the Saints secondary, I think this team is a force to be reckoned with. But, until Eli Apple can kind of calm down his game, that's the biggest factor on that defense for me.
He was up here in this market with the New York Giants, and they really felt like being down there in New Orleans was going to be good for him because it's a different market.
And it's around all his O-State guys, right? They know
correct.
Him, and, he's a little bit different kind of guy.
But when you see fans in the street, they're all about this. Hey, great job, great. So they're probably going to be saying to Eli Apple, hey, great job the other day. So they want to keep him propped up. But when I'm looking at this defense, I'm looking at Cam Jordan, who is freakishly strong, particularly with one arm, what he could do with one arm more than guys could do with 2 arms. And you saw that 4-sack performance the other night, leading the league now at 13.5 sacks. I do know this, and we sit here sometimes and say, hey, this Saints offense, it's not what it was early in the season. We've seen that the last couple of years. But that's also a point of conversation with these guys amongst the defense. They're not knocking Drew Brees or anything, but they're saying, hey, look, if this offense starts to fade down the stretch, let's be the strength of this team.
We got to carry him.
Exactly right. So Cam Jordan, he is the strength of the team. We'll see how close he can wind up getting to 20 sacks. He's got a couple of games left to do it there. All right. Don't call him a sitting duck. You get that one, Colleen? How the Steelers' new starting cornerback
Duck Hodge
can get that offense moving. And it's been a season to forget for the Redskins. And
When D. Hall sitting right next to
Oh, don't do that to us.
But that's okay, because sometimes in these seasons you can see things going forward a little bit more clearly. I'll have a little bit more